Hi, this is Karen Harrison, and welcome to Reiki Call. My website is www.karenharrison.net, and this call will be uploaded to my website as well as on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and any other place my assistant uploads it to. Thank goodness for my assistant. Anyway, August 16th, 2021. And we are here tonight to have a Reiki discussion and talk about your questions. So, we have some people that are new to Reiki on the call that would like a little bit more overview, and I would be glad to launch into that. But I know, Alicia, you said, um, I don't know, I'm just wondering if you have any specific questions that you would like addressed.
I did have a Reiki session done over the phone once. Do you really think that that's helpful? Do you think it's kind of just praying? What do you see it as?
Ah, good question. Okay. And yeah, okay. Christina, you want to talk about that?
Oh, yes, yes. Okay, the long distance Reiki sessions are one of the most powerful sessions my daughter and myself ever had. My daughter had a very, very big back surgery, and the Reiki group was sending actually as a collective healing Reiki to her. And I do have to mention that she also has an autoimmune disorder and is not healing very good. And I do have to let you know that the doctors were so amazed at the rate she was healing. She was healing better than somebody without the autoimmune sickness what she has.
Mm.
And yeah, it was just I mean, a total blessing, and I'm forever grateful for this. And I have problems with my knees. Um, and so when we do the Reiki calls or the
Reiki
come into
Circle.
the Reiki circle, we also did long distance healing. And it totally, made my knee better. I'm be able to walk again, and now I have time to actually go to the doctor and figure out what's wrong with it. Helped a lot with the pain and with the swellings, so it's wonderful.
Great.
Nice. That's good to know.
And
Yeah.
Christina, the session, so the Reiki Circle is our twice a month time to share Reiki with each other, and that's done on a Zoom call. And then the distance Reiki you were doing with your daughter, did you do it over the phone or just you would just send it, or how did you do that? Oh, did you hear that part? I was asking how you did the distance sessions with your daughter.
Alicia.
Yes, ma'am.
Karen was just asking a question.
Oh, I was asking
I,
Christina.
oh, you asked me. Oh my
I was
gosh, so
asking
sweet.
you.
Yeah, the Reiki sessions from my daughter were done. Oh, okay. Okay, and I tell you exactly, we were at 2 years ago when I started also my Reiki journey in Reiki in Karen's um, practitioner class. The whole group of the practitioners already did the healing session, and we sent it Reiki out already ahead of time. What you can do with long distance, uh, um, with the long distance healing, you don't. If you have a date and a time when it happens, you can do that already beforehand. And so we did that, and I did actually every day. And oh, by the way, she had also bad COVID, and that kind of saved her life too. It was really
Mm.
bad, and yes, so yeah, also we have really good experience with long distance Reiki. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a number of ways to do it. You can do a distance session over the phone, over FaceTime, over Zoom. You can just send the Reiki. It's helpful for the person to know when to expect it. It's going to benefit them regardless, but they're going to notice it and feel it more if they know when to expect it and can be relaxing.
Yeah, yeah. Very
Okay.
much so.
Wonderful. Well, Alicia, what other, does that answer your question, or what other questions do you have?
Um, so I guess I was under the impression that a lot of the healing work came out of the practitioner's hands to help clear chakras and clear blocks in the chakras, I should say. Um, so is there some sort of physical thing that the practitioner does even when it's long distance? Do they pretend like there's a body there?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So this is one of the ways that we do distance Reiki. This is my Reiki doll. It's about 18 inches big, and we have a Reiki distance symbol that we use to connect. So what do you have? I use a pillow or a teddy bear. Yes, all of that can work. So we use the Reiki distance symbol to connect with the person that we're going to give Reiki to, and then we can give Reiki hands on, just as though we were in person with, and give Reiki over the neck, over the eyes. The advantages, we can do the front and the back of the body, or we can do from end to end, from feet to head. It's easy to work on the shoulders, the back, the whole trunk, even. So, distance sessions with the doll are wonderful. Many people use that. Some people will hold up their hands and imagine a holographic image of the person and give Reiki that way. So, whatever way a person prefers is just fine.
Cool.
Yeah, Lucy, when you do distance sessions, how do you normally do them?
I usually visualize the person and then I do the symbol and I just continue to focus on them. Um, and I've also done it with my eyes. If I'm behind somebody in traffic, I've done that. When my husband and I, and we don't do this anymore, would go on his motorcycle, he couldn't see me because I'd always beam him with Reiki while we were on the motorcycle for safety.
Wonderful. So that technique is called Gyoshi Ho. It's Reiki with the eyes. You learn it in Reiki 2. And we can send it with our eyes to someone that we can see on a screen. We can send it to a doll. We can have our hands on one area, and then we can beam Reiki with our eyes or even our third eye to another area or to the same area.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yes, Christina?
Well, I have to say something because Lucy said, she was giving Goshio to her husband. I do. I'm a traveler, so I travel a lot with my car. So I Reiki my car, my tires, my motor, myself, my seat, my up, my down, and bless everybody around me and go on. And I was in Georgia. I was driving actually through Atlanta, and I luckily had done that. And if I go into a traffic jam, I start doing Reiki for the front, for the back. And here comes somebody in the back, and he should normally be running right into me. For some reason, his whole car got like picked up and ended up next to me. He had no scratch. I had no scratch. And then he keeps on driving and almost run into the front. But I was in shock first, but I was so grateful that I Reiki'd my car and everything like I always do, and that it was actually, instead of right in the back of me, he was right on the side of me, and nobody, not even a scratch on my car.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing.
That's awesome. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing that cool story. Yes,
yeah.
we absolutely need to give Reiki to the car. And so in class, we just learn with Reiki 2, you get a power symbol. And we draw the power symbol over the front of the car, the sides of the car, the roof of the car, and the back of the car. And I was in Detroit last week, and there's a lot of traffic there. And my brother says that people don't seem to monitor the speed limits. They think it's the Autobahn in Germany. And so people will sail right by you at 90 miles an hour. So
Yeah.
I was definitely doing a lot of Reiki on the car to make sure that we were safe. Okay. Well, Alicia, you got some more questions?
Um, I have a couple questions about crystals as far as using them as protection or using them to heal somebody else. I know Reiki is more with the mind and the energy, but are crystals ever used?
Well, hey, Christine or Lucy, either you want to
Yeah.
say something about
Okay.
that?
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't be without my crystals. They make all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
They're wonderful. I mean,
Mhm.
And how do you use them, Lucy?
well, I have them on my grid, and then I love amethyst, and I love uh, let's see, which one is it? The rose one, the rose quartz. I love
Rose
those
quartz.
ones,
Mhm.
and then the clear crystal. And then for the middle of my grid, I have a large amethyst stone that I really like to use. Um, and I have crystals at my bedside, and I also have a little altar, and I have them on there. So, and I carry them in my I always carry a few in my purse, so they're always with me.
Same.
Yeah. 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 Same here.
Great,
I
great.
have
And
in, yeah, I have in my
pockets
purse.
and
Yes, I have in my purse. My husband has even some. I gave him some, better for work. And in my Reiki, I have it also on the crit. And then, but when I do Reiki itself, I place Reiki, the crystals on the chakras and also beside it, and then I do Reiki, and it's sometimes even a little bit more intense, So yeah, I
Yeah,
like doing that. Mm-hmm.
mhm.
yeah, I'm still learning crystals and what they mean, and so that's the fun part too that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of things combine well with with Reiki, and crystals are one of them. When a person goes on to the Reiki master class, we learn how to create a Reiki crystal grid. So my crystal grid is right here. I will hold it up. So we learn how to work with the crystal grid and charge it up with a master crystal and talk about how to cleanse and charge and choose the crystals, and then how to use an individual crystal, and then how to use a whole group of crystals to send Reiki continuously, because the crystals work like little Reiki practitioners. And then in my class, we also talk about grounding stones. And in my last Karuna class, the energy was so powerful, I went and got all my hematite and had a hematite necklace, hematite earrings, bracelets, and anklets. Uh, yeah, because the energy was so strong, just trying to stay grounded. And then I went and got my drum too, because you can do drumming with Reiki, and singing bowls and tuning forks. So
That's
there's
fun.
also different stones that you can use for different chakras.
Yeah.
A stone that coordinates with the color of the chakra, like red jasper for the root chakra, and maybe a beautiful blue stone for the throat chakra, like lapis lazuli or sodalite, for example.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, crystals are another fun adjunct to Reiki. Um, do you have any other questions about that, Alicia?
So if you're doing a session in person, especially, do you have a cleansing or clearing afterwards so that you're not drained or still holding on to their energy?
Oh, okay. Boy, you got a lot of good questions. Okay. Christine or Lucy, you want to start it off?
Well, first of all, you should never feel drained after a session, because as soon as you give Reiki to somebody else, you give yourself Reiki too.
Right.
And cleaning, you always make sure that you do the dry bath, always after a Reiki session.
What did you call it? A tri bath?
Yes.
Dry.
What is
It's
that?
Dry
it's
shower.
dry bathing. It's called
Yes.
kinyoku, and it's basically right hand on the left shoulder, brush across the body, left, brush, right, brush, left arm out, palm up, not at the screen, brush, brush,
Yeah, please.
brush. And yeah, Christine, you want to talk about grounding too, the importance of grounding?
Oh my goodness, yes. You do have to ground yourself beforehand, really, really good. And you do that, with Mother Earth, period. Always breathe into the earth and make sure that you breathe up again and you breathe up to heavens, back down into the earth, really, really good grounding technique with your breath because yeah, some people are a little bit more sensitive than others, and if they are not grounded, you feel everything, out of the ordinary. So yeah, grounding is very, very important. You do have to do also grounding on the person too.
So by giving Reiki to the feet, that helps to
Yes.
ground the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was just visiting with William Rand in Detroit on some Reiki business and talking with him about grounding and saying, it'd be nice if that were part of the manual, and said that I cover it in all my classes. So he shared a Reiki grounding meditation, which is, put your hands together, activate Reiki, place your hands on your knees, and give Reiki for a few moments. And then begin breathing in the pattern of the microcosmic orbit. So that's inhaling energy and intending that energy go up your spine to the top of your head, and then bringing it down the front of your body, back down your feet, and then, so that would be inhale. I like to inhale up, exhale down, and do that for a while. And then at the end, intend to send the energy down deep into the earth, to the center of the earth, grounding and connecting with Mother Earth. So perhaps he will add that meditation into the manual. So Lucy, anything you want to share about cleansing, clearing, grounding?
No, I think I'm okay with that. I can't think of anything else at the moment. I do know that when we did it at the Holy Fire, I felt even more grounded at probably toward the end when we went, when the practitioner that I was with really did a great job with my feet and all the way up. It felt really wonderful. And I just had some releases, so it was great.
Uh-huh. Okay. Wonderful. Well, gosh, let me go over here to Chelsea. I haven't given you a chance to ask any questions. Of course, Alicia's doing a great job.
She's doing a really good job. Yes. At this point, I don't know what I don't know, so I'm just trying to absorb any information that I can. And I'm also, because I'm about to take your class, I've been trying not to research much because I don't want to get overwhelmed, and because there's just so much out there that I'm trying not to. So yeah, I don't really even know what to ask at this point. I guess just how do I get prepared to learn?
Ah, okay. All right. Christina or Lucy, you want to start that out?
Well, I would go with your gut and your intuition, and whatever that leads you to. Um, I would probably not overdo it too. Just go with what you feel would work for you, and focus on why do you want to do Reiki? What's your purpose?
Okay. All right.
For-
Great. Christina, how do you prepare?
well, for class, first of all, I go with the flow, and I will be surprised. And like this, I don't have too many pre whatever anybody says in front of my eyes. And Chelsea, I know you are in very, very good hands, and it's amazing. You will be blown away.
Okay. So, in the welcome email that my assistant sends out, she talks a little bit about how to prepare. So basically, try and do some self care. Don't just overextend yourself so you come to class exhausted. It's helpful to be rested up a little bit, to eat healthy and for whatever way that is for you. I don't suggest that people go cold turkey off caffeine or whatever their thing is right before class, because that will probably make class more difficult for you. And then also do your best to learn the symbols for that level of class. So for Reiki 2, you'll be learning the power symbol, the middle emotional symbol, and the distance symbol. And my assistant will probably be sending that out tonight to you all on the symbols and how to draw them, and then just collect the things that you're going to need for class, which is a notebook and a pen. You are welcome to bring, a water bottle. It's also, you can bring a stuffed animal, or a doll. If you bring stuffed animal or doll, it's helpful to have something that is on the bigger end. I suggest about 18 inches, not something really small, because that makes it a little bit easier to learn how to scan if you have a little room to scan so that you can determine the differences. Dress comfortably, basically, some like yoga or workout gear is really good. Bring your mask. We get to use mask in class right now. And I guess make sure you know where to go. I have people park at a Target and then shuttle over to my house, since I live in a subdivision, and the subdivision is not happy to have cars parked in front of my house for 2 days at a time. They start wondering why they weren't invited to the party. So, that would be what I would suggest to prepare for class. Um, sometimes if people want the manual in advance, you can make arrangements to pick it up at my office or my home, but I'll be giving you the full manual at class also. So, okay. All right. Well, hey, back to Alicia.
Yes, ma'am.
Got some more questions?
I guess one Reiki master that I saw was a little more intuitive with the emotional blocks. And I was wondering, do you think that is a gift she had? Like maybe she was receiving messages and just felt her intuition was strong about it, or is that something that you can develop?
Okay. Intuition and Reiki. Well, Christine and Lucy, what do you have to say about that?
Hmm. I don't know. You go first, Christina.
Well, well, I try to do Reiki and not have my intuition come across to Reiki in that moment. We do the Poison scanning, and this is where you feel, but this is your senses. Intuition, I'm not so sure. I mean, there is maybe people who have that gift, but the intuition itself, I don't think that you should mix that with Reiki. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That is at least my belief, because I don't know if they really have that intuition. I cannot tell you, oh, this and this is wrong with you. We don't do that in Reiki.
No,
Mhm.
no,
We
It's a
don't
no-no.
diagnose.
Yeah,
we
we
don't.
don't diagnose.
Okay. All right, Lucy, what would you say?
My thought is when I do Reiki is picking up blocks, and I'll tell people about it, and then they open up and they start to tell me what's going on, but I don't know exactly why, but there's something going on with them, and I would rather hear it from them and say, after I say, you know what, you really have a blockage here, what's going on? And amazingly, they start telling me, like one person told me they had a breathing issue. Another person just coughed and she had this huge release from her heart chakra. It was amazing. So again, I don't try to figure it out. I let them tell me and let the Reiki do the work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that sounds good. So, with Reiki, you can develop your intuition, absolutely. It does help to open up your senses to be able to see and hear and know and, um, perceive. And in class, I give people some caution about that because Reiki class is not a class on psychic development. So I I caution my students to be careful in how they deliver any sort of intuitive guidance. For example, we should not give any sort of predictive information. We should not share negative information like, I see you're going to be in a car accident this summer. That would be very bad to share. Now, to be able to scan over the heart and say, I feel a blockage going on here in your heart. Have you recently had a loss? To be able to ask about that. Absolutely. So from our scanning, as Lucy said, being able to say, okay, so tell me what's going on in that area. And, when a person comes for a session, they have some goals of what they want to accomplish. It could be emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. Maybe they feel stuck. Maybe they recently had a breakup. And so, if a person tells me what their issue is, then I know to spend some extra time over where that issue is in their body. Sometimes they'll tell me, and sometimes I'll just get a sense of, oh, it's money issues. Well, it's probably in the root chakra. I know that because of the information about the chakras, money, security, finances, that tends to be root chakra issues. So there's many ways that we can use our intuition with Reiki, and I consider myself an empath or highly sensitive person. So I'll often feel in my body what is coming up to be released, and I can feel when the energy is starting to move and when it's most congested. And so I'll use that information to help me get that energy cleared through a variety of different techniques that we have in class, and then some that I've developed on my own. So, sometimes I'll say, well, I'm feeling this and this and this. Is this anywhere close? Just to verify that, whatever it is. Or if I see an image, I might share, I saw this image, and then ask, does that mean anything to you? Rather than telling a person what I think the image means.
Mhm.
So, and then I have an article that I put on my website from Monica Augustine on sharing intuitive or psychic information in a Reiki session. And it kind of goes over some good boundaries and parameters for that. So, you know, and some Reiki practitioners are more intuitive than others, and some of their intuition is going to, you know, feel more accurate for you than others. So, you know, it's, you know, really very individual, I think. So for me, I also combine my skills as a counselor with it. So, you know, I'm used to working in the realm of emotions and mental issues as part of my counseling training. Any other questions around that?
Would you say that if somebody is coming to you for an emotional clearing, a cleanse, like they are trying to cut cords with somebody, would you say like a single Reiki session could really help them? Or do you think they also need to do a lot of internal work?
Well, that's always a good question. You know, like how many sessions is this going to take? And you know, what I tell people is I will do my best to help you as much as I can in one session, but the reality is it it didn't take, you know, 1 hour for you to develop the problems that you have. And so doing 2 or 3 sessions just to see what sort of benefits you get is really the best course of action and not just relying on one. But in our Reiki Master training, we have a process called healing spirit attachments that also releases cords, connectors, negative energy, as well as thought forms that a person has been focusing on, like frustration or anger or lack. Okay. Or, you know, anything like that. So we, you know, we can use that procedure to clear things. And if a person has cleared cords with someone, but then they continue in the same relationship patterns with that person, then they can reestablish those cords. So the person needs to be willing to, you know, make some changes also. Well, this is pretty handy. I didn't have to have any agenda. We just need an Alicia every call. You're covering a lot of things. Um, what else do you want to know, Alicia?
As far as doing Reiki on yourself, I guess it's easier to have more of an intuition with yourself and have that internal dialogue of why did this illness manifest, what stress was I dealing with. But I guess my question is like repeated cycles, repeated, you know, like abusive relationships, those types of things. It's almost like even though we're aware, how do we actually make the changes to not manifest or attract those types of energies anymore?
Oh, good question. Okay. Oh, I was going to unmute you, Lucy. So, Christina or Lucy, either one of you want to answer that?
Well, I would say.
Go ahead. Go first.
No, Lucy, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Well, everything is a process, right? It takes time to work through things. You don't want to be abrupt, right? What would you say, Christina?
I would say that along doing the self Reiki, you start with self love. You have to start loving yourself, and know that your self worth is much greater than being in that abusive love relationship because they don't deserve you. And like
Mhm.
Lucy said, it takes a process. It doesn't happen just overnight. Usually it's like from one abusive relationship in the other abusive relationship. You have to start that self Reiki and that self love and that self worth.
Yeah, that's wonderful. You hit it there.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and unfortunately, it can be easier said than done,
Yeah.
because it's just how things happen, and well, that's a whole new game, as you know, as a therapist, um, Karen. So it's something that we need to learn, especially with women. For me, self-esteem needs to be really reinforced when we're young girls.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I think that when we're working with patterns, and I love to work with patterns um, of problems, because I'm also trained as a marriage and family therapist, and that's a lot of what we do is look at patterns not only within ourselves but across generations, and what sort of generational patterns are we repeating. Um, so, as Christina said, starting with self Reiki, the main cornerstone of a Reiki practice is self Reiki, everyday self Reiki for at least 10 minutes. And it could be 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. It could be Reiki on the fly. It could be a much longer session. Since the pandemic has happened and I'm not having to drive around as much, I converted that time to extra Reiki time, and I often will spend an hour every morning giving myself Reiki. So the more that we do that, the more it helps us to heal issues. And one of the things that you can do is when you think about the pattern or the issue, notice where you have tension in your body, and then give Reiki there. Or you can do the Reiki Ho technique, which is placing your hands in Gasho, activating your Reiki, calling on your spiritual source, and then asking to be guided and shown where to place your hands on your body for healing of name the issue. So you can do that. Um, and then another technique that I like to work with is timeline therapy. And I wrote about that in my article on Lessons from Holy Fire, where I will imagine a timeline of the issues. So, say, for example, the issue is a woman attracting a relationship with men that are unavailable, emotionally unavailable, maybe physically unavailable, maybe the man is married, maybe the man just can't be emotionally close, he's not able to be affectionate. You can start at the present. So I like to imagine the present as the top right, and then intend to send Reiki all along that whole timeline of the issue of attracting men that aren't emotionally present. From the current time all the way back to the beginning, which is in the womb, and I'll do that a few times, pass along the timeline, and I can kind of feel it and feel what is getting cleared and where there's any areas that still feel kind of intense, and then just spend a little bit more time there. And then after I do that a little bit, then I'll send Reiki back through any generational patterns that are related to this. So Reiki for the ancestors, intending to send it back, for any patterns of the ancestors having emotionally distant relationships. And then I'll send it back through any past lives that are related to this issue, and just intend to send it back. And all that actually happens pretty quickly. This whole process of what I'm talking about usually doesn't take more than maybe 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, to do that and get a lot of clearing. So I find that helps quite a bit. And then we also have a really cool experience that you learn in Reiki Masterclass called the Holy Fire Healing Experience. So that is marvelous. All the person does is think about the issue and then think about if this issue, say of, these destructive patterns were located somewhere in the body, where would it be? So maybe it's in the chest. And if it had a shape, what shape would it be? And maybe the person says it's a rectangle. And then you ask them if it had a color, what color would it be? Red. If it had a weight, how much would it weigh? 50 pounds. If it had a temperature, what would it be? Cold. If it had a texture, what would it be? Hard. Okay, so you ask them those questions, and then the practitioner leads a short guided meditation that culminates in the light of the Holy Fire Reiki, a high spiritual light, shining on that shape to dissolve it while the practitioner is giving hands-on Reiki. So that practice is amazing, and it only takes maybe 20 to 25 minutes to do, and that often creates a lot of healing even with just one time. So those are some of the things that we can do for those destructive and difficult patterns. Woo! Well, we have covered a whole lot here. I was thinking, I didn't think to do my little opening prayer, but I thought maybe we would just do the grounding meditation. But before we do that, Alicia, any more questions?
Y'all are doing great.
Yeah. Did I feed you all these questions and just ask you to come on here and No, I really didn't, but it kind of looks that way. Yeah, because these are great questions. So did you have anything else you wanted to know about?
No, just Chelsea.
She's saying no.
Nope, I think you did really well. Everybody did really well.
Okay, good. Well, let's just do this microcosmic orbit grounding meditation. So if you have Reiki, just put your hands together and activate Reiki. If you are new to Reiki, then put your hands together and call on the power of healing and love, because that's really what Reiki is. It's healing and love. And then place your hands on your knees. And we'll just close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And let the energy flow. You might notice the warmth of your hands and your legs. And just have a sense of allowing the energy to flow in your hands out to your legs. And now become aware of your feet placed on the floor. And intend to inhale, beginning with your feet up the backs of your legs, up your back, all the way to your crown. And then exhale, sending the energy down the front of your body, all the way through your trunk, down your legs, to your feet. Inhale. Breathing the energy up your back to the top of your head. Exhale, sending the energy down the front of your body, down your legs and your feet. And continue that process on your own. And now when your breath comes back down the front of your body and down to your feet, and tend to send the energy deep into the earth, connecting with the center of the earth, grounding very deeply. And when you're ready, you can bring this to a close and gently open your eyes. Okay, anybody want to share what that experience was like for you?
Very soothing, very relaxing. Everything quiets down.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lucy, I muted you.
I felt very peaceful, and I wanted to do more Reiki with myself.
Yeah.
So I started doing.
Yes. Chelsea, how'd you feel?
Definitely more connected after a day of running here and there and everywhere. Finally, just kind of calming down and feeling more connected to something, to the earth, to the moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, super. Alicia, what did you notice?
Definitely more in the moment, just less thoughts, more breathing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. All right, well, I appreciate you all joining us for Reiki Call. Sometimes we have question and answer like we had tonight. Sometimes we have speakers. I've had speakers on a whole variety of topics, and you can find all that archived on my website at KarenHarrison.net under Reiki Call, and also on my YouTube channel, Karen Harrison Reiki. So I hope you will check that out, and then join us again. Reiki Call is the third Monday of the month, normally at 7 p.m. Central, but sometimes that varies. And then we also have our Reiki Circle online right now on the second and fourth Mondays of the month from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Central Time. So thank you all so much for joining us. And Christina and Lucy, thank you so much for your great input. You all did great. And Alicia, thanks so much for all your great questions. You covered a lot of ground.
Thank y'all so much.
And Chelsea, I will see you soon at Reiki class.
I'm so looking forward to it.
Me too. Okay. All right. Give you all some hugs and see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.